Hello and welcome to the Ireland on the Fly podcast about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland. This week it's a fly tying episode with Evo Smyth, originally from Latvia but living in the Irish Midlands for the last 20 years. Although only taking up fly tying 10 years ago, Evo made a name for himself as a fly tyer of some skill, and his flies have been in demand around the country. Evo tells us about his fly fishing and fly tying journey, and he has some really helpful and insightful advice for anyone looking to improve their own fly tying skills, so it's well worth a listen. But first time, we finally made it out into Carib.
Yeah, Commander. Yeah, finally. Yeah, I start getting busy from this week onwards now. I was out early on just in the week. It isn't exactly setting the world on fire with fish. Moved a couple others, so it's it's tough going. But this time of the year it can be tough. We got a bit of heat last week. Water temperatures warmed up. So yeah, look.
What's the
Um,
tactics this early in the season?
okay, so you're basically just pulling. Right? You're pulling. Uh, Fast intermediate generally, slow intermediate, fast intermediate, or even a DI3. Try and stick around the shallows. And if you're
Okay.
not right on the shallows, be just off them. And generally, you're going dabblers. Um, Dabblers would be my go-to this time of year. So silver dabbler, fiery brown dabbler, golden dabbler, or if not, a couple of minkies, but smaller minkies. Don't like big
Okay.
minkies this time of year. And don't go ripping. Definitely don't go ripping the flies. Just nice slow retrieve.
Slow.
Yeah, fish are slower. I doing the fish today now that I had like it just took like slow. You sort of wondering was it a fish first? So, they're not very active. The water's still cold. They haven't become active yet as such. So they're still kind of lethargic, particularly the way they take things. So yeah, just take it nice and easy with them.
And it'll build up in the coming weeks then, is it in kind of end of March then? Do you really start to kind of see it?
Oh yeah, well I saw a couple now. We get another buzzer hatch here just before the duck fly, which is about a size 16. And actually for moments for periods today, when it actually got in any way kind of mild, you saw them hatching and coming up. So duck fly won't be too far away once you see that. They're normally out a week or so before the duck fly. So that'll see. So I was to pin a date on at the moment. I reckon the duck fly will be up in middle of next week, maybe the end of next week. So it'll be after Paddy's Day. It was up by Paddy's Day last year, so it
And
will be that bit later. And of course, Paddy's Day.
yeah, speaking of Paddy's Day, it's hard to believe
Yeah,
actually, isn't it?
yeah, Paddy's Day. So listen, the shore opens
Sure
on.
opens Paddy's Day, and most of the rest of the Irish
Yeah,
rivers and lakes,
will
isn't
you
it?
get
Or
out?
for, I always try and get out the first few days after around Paddy's Day. Paddy's Day is down to bring the kids down to the parade, and then probably that later that week I'll get my license, my membership, and yeah, it's even but like my memory of always kind of Paddy's week is river was high and there'd be conditions wouldn't be great. It's even like
Yeah,
your memories as a kid as a Paddy's Day parade in Dublin and being frozen
that's
and
it. Yeah, yeah,
miserable
yeah,
and
yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
poor stupid American tourists. It was
Going
what
that
the hell
travel.
are we doing here?
Yeah, they've been looking forward
So,
to this for years, and they go, "What was that all about?"
yeah, exactly. Like I know they try and dress it up now with all the Machna
Yeah.
stuff and the whole Mardi Gras kind of vibe
Yeah, it's
to it, but
slightly
when it's
better now. I mean, back then you get better parades in Tulsa.
slightly better, but Jesus, if it's getting down and it's freezing and it's windy, there's still not
Yeah.
much you can do about it. But you never know. The weather might play ball.
Come
But
here,
yeah, no,
but
I'll get out for it.
have you had a look at the? Oh wait, I actually saw the shore last week. It's kind of high, isn't it?
Yeah, it seemed to be now. I haven't been down now
Yeah.
at all. There hasn't been much rain now in the last few days at all. So, and I don't think there's much forecast now for the next few days. Actually, what am I saying? Last Saturday, I thought was pretty bad. Oh, I don't know. It's all merging into one. But
So yeah,
I'd
you
say
need
by
to get
next
out
week,
fishing.
I need to get out. I'd say by next week
You
it'll be.
really need to get out fishing. No, because I was talking to George because we're doing that bonus. We've done the bonus episode. Hopefully that'll get out
Oh yes,
at scale again. He's going out on the opening day, but he was showing me some. I mean, these weren't dries. The things he was showing me. These weren't dries. They weren't, small little wets. He's going full heavy metal.
is he gone
He's going on
streamer?
he's streamers, yeah. Going on streamers.
I tell you, Keith McDonald started a cult here like that has
Hasn't he?
become.
He really
Keith, if
has.
you're listening,
I mean,
it's like
and we won't give a spoiler alert on Evo's, but keep tuning
yeah.
in.
Yeah, like Jesus, Keith, you've a lot to answer for,
What have you
Keith.
done? You've
And
created monsters all over the country.
it's actually moved beyond the cult now. It's getting to the stage where it's becoming a fully fledged religion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's becoming mainstream. Like so, that's it. It is interesting. I think we're gonna have to watch that now.
I think they've
Keep
formed
an
their
eye
own
on.
little niche group, maybe. It's a bit like,
It's gone beyond the niche now. You'll be mad into it now.
Well, I fair play to Keith. I was on to Keith before after the last shot, and Keith sent me a couple of his flies because it's a thing I want to do here. It's my bit of a bucket list. I do intend to try for Ferox on the fly.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the thing. But and Keith sent me on a few patterns, and like I was blown away by them. Absolutely,
Yeah.
they're you know you've seen them. They're
I
fantastic.
buy. I try and buy every Christmas. Like it's like a treat for myself. I buy a couple of flies from Keith. I don't even use them half the time because I don't get around
Yeah,
to it. And I
yeah,
just love looking at them and just having them
yeah.
in my box. Like they're just, and he actually sent me on it. I think it was like a kind of a articulated kind of mouse type pattern. And he was like, have fun with that one. Like, so
Yeah, yeah.
haven't even got around to it. So see, there you go. See, we're all converting like,
That's look at it. Look what's happened to us all. God almighty. Yeah.
Jesus. Bless yourself now. But listen, let's get back to this week's guest anyway, Evost, and Evo, who first told us about growing fishing in Latvia.
As long as I remember myself fishing, you know what I mean? Like I've been one of those guys who had a childhood memories of box of worms and bamboo rod and pocket full of hope.
Like us all, like us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be on the river and you'd be there and you'd be looked for, you know, and then the next morning as soon as the sun is out in the summer, you'd be back there again, you know, that sort of way. And I came over here and I didn't fish for a while, like at all sorts of work commitment and all, and then I kind of find a more free space for myself or more free time.
And actually, before we get on to the fishing here, tell us about what the fishing's like in Latvia.
Oh, I haven't been back in a good long while now. Back when I was there, it'd be a lot of coarse fishing would be like predominant, you know what I mean? Now it's have changed and there was a lure fishing at the time. Now that was kind of maybe a little bit less popular, but it was predominant coarse fishing and it would be that type. Now the things have changed and sport has progressed and the guys are, you know, fly fishing and there would be a pond that would be stocked with rainbow and the lads would be fishing those now. Same as that with every method, you know,
And what about the rivers? What river fishing is there?
there would be a few salmon rivers, yeah. There would be so few
Are there?
salmon and
Yeah.
trout. Yeah, there's a bit like the Baltic Sea and a bay there, you know what I mean? So there would be few of them, not a whole pile, but there would be a few. Yeah, and guys are fishing them. Yeah, fishing with lures for salmon and fishing with flies for salmon. Like, but it'd still be predominant, you know what I mean? The lads would be out and the lads would be fishing a lot for coarse. And if there's a bigger rivers, say the equivalent of the main river would be equivalent of Shannon in Ireland, the lads would be still maybe trawling that nowadays for salmon. And
Right.
it used to be like that. It would be something,
Yeah.
you know, exotic.
Yeah. Look, I remember I was speaking to a German lad recently, and I think we kind of underestimate or forget how popular lure fishing is in mainland Europe.
Oh, it is. It's big.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you tell me now, good 15 years ago, do you know what I mean? Fly fishing, it would be something. Ho, wait, this is done. This is done by rich and famous or guys in the tweed jackets, and you'd be looking at something as if it would be a miracle. You know, like.
Yeah, it is. It's another world, kind of like, isn't it? Like, yeah. And actually, because no, the reason why I want to ask you about Latvia and like countries like that, I'm always wondering, are they kind of do you see it in the next few years developing more? Will it be will it be an opening kind of frontier for fly fishing in the future, do you think?
Well, I think the resource is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there wouldn't be as much resource, if you know what I mean, as it would be in here, where you have pretty much of the muchness. Every county has a rivers where the trout is that we can get out and cast for a trout. You know what I mean? But the resource is there. Resource is there for salmon fishing. The willingness is there, you know. Like, I know I maybe wouldn't be one of the best guys to talk in regards to the traveling there and all. I haven't been back in donkeys, but the resource is there, and the nature is there. You know what I mean? And maybe the nature wouldn't be as pressurized as it would be in other places. You know, when you look at it, like the the now popular destinations like Iceland, you know, where the resource is there and it's super protected, and then it makes it kind of nearly a unicorn job to go there. It would be a bucket list for a number of us. Like, it's
Yeah.
that's
And is there much brown trout over there?
there's only a few rivers that would have brown trout. The most rivers, like, it would be the same rivers as a salmon rivers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Only a few would run the salmon, and only those then would have a trout in it, like a fast flowing rivers and so on. Because I would be back when I was living in Latvia. I would be living in right slam bang in the middle of Latvia, really as middle as you can get, right? And you have your rivers and you have your lakes, and you'd have your fishing as I knew it. Like, you have your coarse fish, roach, rudd, hybrid, and so on, and you have pike. But I'd never dream fishing for trout. Do you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was one of those that when I came over to Ireland now, and I started back fishing again, with the lure. Actually, I did that for about 2 years, and then one of my friends, he was fly fishing, and he kind of got me to try it out, and he brought me out fishing, and then I started fishing. I got my first fly rod. Now, that was an adventure in its own right, you know what I mean? You go and look and you don't know what you're looking at, and you're looking at something that you've never done, and it's all a bit of, whoa, where do I start? And
Were
at
you
the
on
time,
your own buying it?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, Tom, it was really easy. It was because a decade ago, right? Now, as funny as it is, if we think about it now, guys, right? A decade ago, there wasn't, I don't know, a Grace K42 set that makes it kind of affordable, and maybe that everyone can get into it without breaking a bank. It's literally a decade ago where the used airflow rod would still set you back €150 in its own right. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how things have changed
they have changed big time,
in
yeah.
in decades, So, but yeah, it was really easy. Now, I was looking and kind of putting the money aside, and at the time I was back in college and doing an education again and all, and I was counting the money and writing down how much is this and how much is that, and then my wife just announced one day that there they are in Lidl, and that's what you're getting. So that's
a
what I
decision
got.
had been made.
Yeah. That's what I got. Now, it didn't last me long. Now, in regards that I actually got a little bit of upgrade and all this. People helped me out and set me back with a half decent rod and a half decent second hand line, and I got a bit of experience and all this, and people actually stuck with me, and still, although I was making a holy show of myself, were still willing to bring me out. So
And
that's kind.
what made you get into the fly fishing? Was it just because it was so prevalent over here that you kind of figured, well, if I want to fish for the trout properly, I need to do it that way?
I tell you how it the local river is any river here that is a tributary to Shannon, and uh, Now the brown trout in there. Now we fishing with lures it and all this, and then saw a few guys fly fishing it. But sure, at the time when you're fishing lures, you no clue that they might be nymphing or they fish dry flies or anything. For you, it's all a fly fishing. And I was looking at that, and I was looking, and then it was a hot summer, and was one of those when I was walking the bank and I couldn't catch a fish on a lure for the love of my life. I spent an evening there, and I saw a guy there. Matter of fact, turned out to be my mate after, but he was getting a fish later in the evening, and he was getting them. You know what I mean? So I thought, now this is the way. This is the way to catch trout now. So I started off, and then we all you guys have been there. It's you're embarking on a journey, and when 3 hours in, you think you know it all, and you're good to go. You realize that the moment the day goes by and a week goes by, that you're in a maze. That turns out you have to learn a million of bugs, and turns out that there's 73 types of fly lines and rods and all this, and then you think, oh my God, how will I break this all to my wife that this is not the only rod that we have to buy here and all this, So
Yes, there's a you go down the rabbit hole.
Evo 74 types of fly line.
yeah, like
And counting.
there's no end.
Another one's just popped up on my screen.
Yeah. And then obviously the first 2 seasons go by, and you're thinking, right, so I'm kind of halfway understanding here actually what's this and what's that, and I started the rivers. I started actually fishing on a river, you know what I mean? And that's how I actually got into tying flies, and that's the bit of different there. But when you actually catch a few fish, and then obviously there's a winter downtime, and I wasn't thinking about flying times, but same as everyone else, a bit of maybe cabin fever sets in, and you start to look at the videos and all this, and then all of a sudden a double hander pops up, and that's a next kind of unicorn, and then you're down another rabbit hole, and it's all worse again. It's not. It's one of those. Yeah.
It's all
For
good
those,
though.
for those of us, they can't see us at the video, but when you said that, both Tara and I were giving that knowing smile to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just
We
it's a
just
rabbit
know.
hole in a rabbit hole in a
Yeah.
rabbit hole. It's like an
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
You know?
And before you know it, 20 years have gone by,
Yeah.
Do your friends or family in Latvia think, what the hell, are you a millionaire now that you're doing fly fishing, or?
Like, I tell you what, the lads that I fished with the lures, you know what I mean? Like, I don't fish with them anymore. As funny as it is, like, I was the only one kind of who took to the fly fishing. And that kind of actually drew us half apart, because you're not spending that time together, and you find a different circle. And but sure, that is just things changing in life. If you do something else, you find a different circle, and because you spend time together with people. But yeah.
Go on. I was just going to say, identify what you're saying, Evo, because I remember because again, kind of similar, I kind of grew up with coarse fishing and only discovered fly fishing kind of later in life. Was that, for me, actually part of the joy of it, especially when you first discover it and start exploring it, is there's so many branches to it, and there's so much to learn. It's nearly like an education in itself, and realizing how much you can read about it, learn about it. And that's what I loved. It was like just opening Pandora's box into this whole other world and history. And it was like, man, this is never ending.
Yeah.
And you were right.
Yes, exactly.
But it is like, if you think about everything, I mean, I remember I put in, say, a season on an Ini river, and all of a sudden everything is good, and you catch a few fish, and you think, that's it, sure, I know it all now. And this is in the springtime, you know what I mean? Then comes early June, and you're not catching anything. And you think, oh, holy Jesus, what's going on here? Why am I not catching fish anymore? And you're still out with your 5 flies that you caught the fish in the springtime in, right? And then you say, oh, now, here we go. Google out why am I not catching fish in June on the fly? And like it just goes on, and then you start taking it. You know what I mean? Oh, here everyone is keep saying match to hatch. All of a sudden, there's entire like the bugs come into it, and you start. Jesus, this is it. Then the lads bring you out in the evening for the first time green peter fishing and murrock fishing on a lake, and you all of the sudden you're gone, and not only in the evenings and mornings, you're gone into a night now as well, you know. And it's like you're going on, and any day you turn around, like not any day obviously, but as the time goes on, there's a history to it, and you start to read about history, and then there's a development, and you follow things, and there's something, and you learn something, and you find interest in something again.
It's like the what you call it? Is it the babushka dolls? Is
Yeah,
it,
yeah. The more you open, the
Yeah.
more it's in there. Yeah.
And actually, Evo, you're only halfway there.
Yeah, I well believe that. Oh, I well believe that. And the more you think that you are experienced, the more you think that
Isn't it?
and you're not. And there's always somebody that'll teach you something. And
Yeah,
the people
we're only halfway there. And the day you think you have a cracked, that's the day. That's your downfall.
Yeah.
But speaking of other rabbit holes, you also then went down the fly tying one. So tell us about how you got into that, sucked into that world then.
Well, that came from the river, right? And that came from the river fairly. That was straight journey there. I had idea in my head what I want fly-wise, and I couldn't get it. It was really simple. That one,
It should be, I suppose.
yeah, that trip, that transition to start the fly tying, that was really simple. I had idea in my head what I want, and I had idea in my head how it should perform, and I couldn't get it. So I said, I'll do that myself. Now, just because you have idea and just have you a vision.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, but like it's
but
you
the
you can't run before you walk, Evo.
Yeah,
Can I just say that is one of the best reasons that I've heard for taking up fly time.
Yeah,
That is really, let's not forget that's one of the reasons that you
Well, it
tie
should be
flies.
doing,
yeah. We all know, Tom, you guys we were at it for a good long while, right? That myth of, I'm going to save money. Whoever is trying to get into fly tying for that, guys, buy flies in the shop.
Yes.
Just buy flies in the shop online. Whatever you're buying them, don't, because there is no end to it.
No. But can I just say, Evo, if there is, let's say, a joint discussion with let's say the other half of the household, then I would quote, I'd say, you know what might be a good way to start fly tying? I'd probably save money if I bought fly tying gear, and I wouldn't buy as many flies. But then, cross your fingers, bite your lip, and never discuss it again.
And if there's something to add to that, then hide stuff, guys. Hide.
So tell us, Evo, has it taken, like, what's the kind of split ratio between your fly fishing and your fly tying now? Has the fly tying taken over, that you're doing less fly fishing, or tell me?
Yeah. Oh, big time. Yeah. It went on. I was actually fishing a lot, and I really enjoyed, and I still do enjoy fishing, and maybe I enjoy it differently now than I was enjoying it, say, a decade ago. You know, where a decade ago I was out, and I don't know, maybe not full decade ago, but then I got my own first boat. I was going out on the lake on my own, and I was trying this and trying that, and I was having a bite of sandwich where I was changing the drift, and I was fishing, and the main reason I wanted to catch fish, and I wanted to catch bigger fish and more fish and all this, and now it's a different story. You know what I mean? You go out and fly fishing is maybe collective reason to go out. You go out, you meet the circle, you go out, you unwind, you go out, you catch fish, and it's a bonus. You pull in on the island. And it makes no difference. It can be good great day, it can be a rainy day. You fire up the little stove, you have a steak, but it's an experience in itself. And you come home in that evening, and you come off the lake, and it's 6-7 o'clock in the evening, and you're a different person.
The world is okay again.
Yeah, the world is everything has settled a bit. You know what I mean? It actually does clear your head. And Tom, you've been enough out on the lake. Nothing is happening. Everything is as dead. You know, we all have experienced one of those days when nothing is happening. Like, you can do whatever you want, and nothing is happening. And all of a sudden, you put a lot of fly rods away, and you kick up the boots on the seat, and you just look around. Take out the camera, and you take a picture. Turns out this is a great shot. Turns out we have a time in our life at this moment to maybe appreciate that bank and that little bit of peace of quiet in life. You know, like, it's your fish now. Even the fishing in its own right changes as you go along, maybe as you get more experienced in it all. This, you know, that's the way it works for me. Like,
I think you appreciate it more, Evo. I think, in a different way, like,
in a different way, yeah.
Yeah. But it reminds me, Tom, actually, do you remember when I was fishing with David and we were coming out with you? It was in September. And we were saying, oh, the weather's going to be brutal. There's nothing happening. No point in going. And I texted Dave, and Dave was like, I don't care. We're just going anyway, because just to be out in the boat and just out in the water, I'm not going expecting fish. We didn't get any. But
it was atrocious, but we still had a great day.
A brilliant day, exactly.
Yeah. And that is, you catch fish, and it's a bonus, you know what I mean? And most of us catch and release anyway, you know what I mean? It's not that it's because it's God sees, guys, because if we fish for eating, some of us would be a lot thinner. and me personally, you know what I mean? Like, but no, you just, the whole experience of it, as you go along and as you fall into these rabbit holes, and as you kind of maybe grow into a game, you know what I mean? You start to look at things differently. You realize in the catch and the trout, like, there is that enthusiasm. Tom, you know yourself, you know what I mean? Oh, I caught the first trout, I caught the fifth trout, I caught the 3-pounder. At some point in life, 5 years down the line, you pretty much caught them all. You know, like, it's a matter of, will I beat that one time? And you know that it's not going to be happening every year. And you go out and you look at completely different things. You look at you look at your cast. Right, but this was a great one. I feeling that's where the fish will be rising next, and this is what I'm paying attention to actually catching the fish. Like, the main objective is there, but you're paying attention to the different things.
I do that sometimes. Yeah, I do that. I go, oh, that was a lovely cast. That'd be nice.
But it's a different things that
one, the fish aren't rising, is it?
That's the one there.
But tell us though, Evo. So you really got into the fly tying, and when did you first start doing fairs and shows? And like, how soon after your fly tying career did that get did that come up?
I started fly tying in 2015.
Right.
And at the start, there's tying the bits, and then more, and then more, and then more. And then actually, I got to the point when I thought, what I'll do is, I'm getting kind of good at it, and I can put the things on a hook properly, and people started looking for me and asking me to tie a fly, and then there was more and more and more. And then one day I decided, right, well, this looks quite promising, so what I'll do is I'll try do only this. So I put in 2 years doing that.
Right.
And like, were you kind of every evening you'd be doing it, whenever any spare time, you'd be that would be your focus, would it be?
My down this first floor of our apartment is open planned, so the kitchen and living room kind of, and my tying table is here, right in the middle of it all. So if I get up in the morning on a Saturday and I have nothing better to do, I'll sit down and tie a couple flies. Same Sunday in the evening, I have nothing better to do, and I sit down and I tie a few flies, and it's daily now. Now it's maybe more relaxed, but yeah, I did it 2 years for living straight out, and it was maybe the best experience, and at the same time maybe the worst experience, because it comes a job and you have to treat it like a job. You're getting up at 7:30 in the morning and you're tying flies, and you're tying them late. You won't be finishing at 5. You're tying all day and you're tying into an evening, and you keep on tying and tying again, and enjoyment of it is dead. That's it. There is none. It's your job. There is none. You're ticking the lists off, and you're posting, and you're ticking the lists off, and you're posting, and comes October, and the season is over, and you know you have about a month downtime, but not at the same time. November, lads are going to be clearing out the boxes, and the first lists are going to start coming, and even in that October, you'd be trying to predict a bit, that standard top-up ones, the green Peter and the dabbler, and you'd be just plucking at them, so you have a little bit of reserve, so you maybe save a time on the orders when they come in, and so on and so forth. But yeah, what it does, like, there's no, that's a different conversation, like how much you need to practice maybe, or how you want to tie, or so on. But now when you put in a lot of time flying, tying flies, if you tie 3 green Peters in 3 months, you're struggling it with the wing. If you tie 200 green Peters in a week, you'll get the knack of it. Like it's fairly healthy, like, and it's same as that. And then
what you get out, you put in, as they say.
Yeah.
After the 2 years, then how did you feel about it? Did you want to step back from it? Then did you kind of say, "I've done it, I like it, but not that much," kind of thing? Or
I didn't like it anymore.
wow.
Oh, right. Okay.
I didn't like it anymore. I actually didn't like it anymore. There was nothing enjoyable about it. The only time I got a little bit enjoyment out of it there for a good for maybe for maybe a year or so, on a Sunday, I used to come down in the morning and still sit back at the table, but I do something completely random, something that I haven't timed during the year. And then when I do it, I actually go and I look through the book, and I look online, and I look up the bit of history of the fly, and where was it developed. And I used to post it on a few pages, you know what I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
random Sunday
Yeah.
sessions. And I used to add in a bit of that history, for the guys who maybe like to read a little bit about it. But that was no.
And come here, you obviously use that, Evo, as your way of getting back into it.
Yeah.
Because really, yeah, what happened was, when you turned like almost tying professionally, it did turn you away from it. But by doing the random Sunday ones, it brought you back into it.
Yeah. You keep your interest going, and then, do you know what I mean? It's one of the, oh no, there wasn't enjoyment in it, no. And I had to step away when I got back full time working. I did step away from it. I did, because, and then it just, like, you get back into it, obviously, and then back, and then when I got back into it again, then there's no really secret, like, I suppose it's called trying harder, and then I got, let's call it, on the tour, if you will, and I started to attend shows, and I started to go to the places and travel a bit with it, and maybe teach people, and so on. But yeah, there's nothing about it. If you lose an enjoyment in it and you're not doing it, Tom, you know it. When you get up or you sit down and you start tying something, and you can't put the thread on a hook, and whatever you do, the hackle breaks 3 times
Yeah.
and thread,
Walk
and
away.
you walk away, you get up
Yeah.
and you walk
Yeah.
away, because nothing good is going to come out of it. Nothing.
And that because I'm completely with you. But I did 1 or 2 seasons of tying professionally, and there would be days like that where, as you say, just nothing will go right. You'd start off, the thread would break, the hackle pliers would pull off, you'd snap the hackle, and then if you persevere, the next thing you look at your first 3 flies and you go, they're tosh,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
useless. Yeah,
Yeah.
and as you just walk away,
Yeah. You have
walk
to,
away.
and
Yeah.
yeah, but I really hated the term commercial flight tire.
Did you? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really hated the term, and then I just kind of have to come to a terms. At some point, you realize that that's what you are. You're a commercial flight tire. You know what I mean? But then when I stepped away from it all and I got back into it and I got a little back more interest to it, and then I would start to post it again, flies, and I was enjoying the fly tying, and I was stepping away from the orders. I still did some, you know what I mean? I still do some, and so on. But you'd be tying for your enjoyment, and you tie completely random. You can sit down on Sunday, and random Sunday session actually becomes a random. One Sunday you sit down and you okay tie, I don't know, size 16, some sort of summer beetle, you know what I mean, for the river. And then the next thing you come up and you tie, I don't know, size 8, some sort of streamer or something. And it becomes a random, and you're enjoying it, and you're back and you're challenging yourself. And if you don't tie them every day, you tie the first beetle and look at, Jesus, that looks like a wasp meant to be a beetle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's enjoyment is back into it. And then as you go along and you're enjoying it, and then that's your online presence that you share your flies with people, and people do get, like, this is another maybe thing. I've never I never thought about myself as like I would be the real professional fly tyer and on. So now I know that kind of maybe at lately when I have started attending shows, people think of that way, but I get texts from people every other day, as in to Facebook through the messenger, and people will say, Evo, I'm really struggling with this wing, and your wings are deadly. Is there any chance? I've sit down on video calls with people
Oh,
and
man.
spend an hour till we
Yeah.
get the wing right. I have no issues. Like if somebody wants to learn, I help. I'll sit down here and tie with them. If I have a time in the evening, I have no problem. I tie up. I don't really do videos, but I'll do the video. I film it over the phone. I send it to a guy, and if needs to be, we go on a video call and we get it right. You know, like I've never really thought about myself that, oh, this is going to be something that I'm going to be a station above everyone else. If every other day I get a text or something,
No, that's
people
great.
would be struggling with this, or maybe, looking for advice on this and maybe on that.
Mm.
And I have no problem with it. No, no, never had.
Yeah, I suppose, and you're probably not losing sight of the fact that, a decade ago, you were that other person.
Oh,
You were
yeah,
that other,
yeah.
10 years ago, you were the guy, oh, that wing isn't going right for me. How the hell did I get this wing right? Or, why is
Decade
my,
ago, decade ago, I was gallivanting the sunroom in Galway South Hill Hotel and annoying every flight hire under
yeah,
the sun there. Now, do you know what I mean? And that's,
yeah,
if I sit down somewhere in Kilkenny or in Enniskillen or Stafford or whatever, and somebody comes over, and I have no problem get up from my chair, letting them sit down, and if needs to be, lean over, and do you know what I mean? Because that's the way people helped me out. That's the way
mm,
I got to where I am now, and that's the way I kind of enjoyed it, and that's the way I got better, So.
And Evo, actually, in terms of tips, say for people that are listening, how did you get better? Was there certain flight tires on YouTube that you followed, or books that you'd recommended, or how did you get to the next level?
It was a bit of mix of everything. It was a bit of mix of everything. When I started, I had the books, you know what I mean? And then like you follow your books, and the books are great in regards to the very first books are great. All books are great. Now, first of all, I'd be a little bit of old school. I like a paperback. I do. And I do. There's something about a paperback that will never be beaten. Like it's one of those. And you'd go through bits and you're trying to grasp things and you're trying to grasp maybe materials and you're trying to, like it's a journey that you're starting off and so on and so forward. But then obviously your social media. Now, 10 years ago, Tom, you know this, and the guys, the 10 years, this decade, it has been the
Yeah,
sport and accessibility and reach. It has expanded like 1,000 times. 1,000. A decade ago, you had the YouTube, and there was a number of guys, and you followed them. But even there, I have spoken to people, and people say to me, "Well, how do you know, like?" And I'd be struggling with this, and I have looked at Davies, and Davy does it this way, and his works class, and I've tried to copy it 73 times, and I said, "Look, have you looked at somebody else's?"
Mm.
"Oh no, but I'm trying to do that." I said, "Why?" I said, "Look at someone else's." I said, "This is the way he does it." I said, "I do it differently. I've looked at it. I've looked at someone else. I look at the fourth, fifth, sixth one. And then in between the whole lot, I found a way that suits me better. And in between the whole lot, like,
That's
like
really good
Tom,
advice. Yeah, that's
do you
really good
know,
advice.
Mm.
Yeah.
and I remember looking at little dry flies and so on and so on and CDC from Slovenian guys. I was outrageous. Do you know what I mean? When you have maybe your standard that let's call, I'm saying standard, but say the deer hair sage, and there's someone else, and then you're looking at guys from Slovenia time, and they use more CDC, and they'd be more into an actual building flies and so on. Then you look at that and you say, "Geez, that bit there, right? I think
Mm.
the fly is crap, but that bit
Yeah, yeah,
there."
yeah,
That's class.
yeah.
I can use that and into my fly, and all of the sudden it's there, and it's something that you like, and it's something that works, And yeah, but one of those, yeah, it was a mix between the whole lot. I think
I think that's really good advice, though, Evo, because it's like you're saying, there's no one size fits all, and obviously
Mm.
there's certain guys like Davey who are up there and
mm,
rightly recognized
yeah, yeah.
for their
Oh,
skills.
no
But
questions asked.
and Davey would say this as well. It's not, you got to learn from everybody else as well, like
Mm.
and see what fits, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, because it's really interesting, and like Davey does things certain ways that mightn't suit a particular tire. Do you
yeah,
know? And try and find another way of doing it, as you say.
Simple things, right? Like simple things as I don't know. Take anything. Take tiny dabbler. Right?
Mm.
If you look at Davy's videos, right off the top of my head, right, Davy would take two slips in the earlier videos, take two slips, a bronze mallard, one left, one right, and then he put it together, and then he put it in place, and there is the perfect sitting wing, right?
Yeah,
First of all, people would never do that when they start tying flies. Okay, that to put those two wing slips matching, but then there isn't. There's an easier way to do it, right? You take a one wider, you just double fold it, and you double fold it again, and there's a whole lot of that. And I looked at somebody else's video. Now, saying that, I now and before that, I can take a two wing slips and put them together. I know and I can do it.
you can do
But
it now if you want.
but rather than getting annoyed 73 times and saying, "Now that's it, that's doublers out, never tying that." Well, next thing you're going to be annoyed with the hen pheasant wings. So that's that out. So
Yeah,
there's very little left to tie there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You take it there, you take it there, you take it there. All of the sudden, maybe there's too much at some point you have taken, but then you start to weed it out, and then as you gain a little bit of confidence, and then as you're getting along, all of the sudden say, right, sure, maybe I'll try that Davies things with the slip again. and you have more confidence at the time and you have practiced, and all of the sudden that 73 times that you tried and it never sit, and now that wing sits right. You know, it's one of those.
Yeah, which is, and I think that holds for everything, as you get more proficient in fly tying, don't be afraid to go back to things that you tried and, couldn't really master beforehand. Because as you say, like that 74th time is going to come sometime.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it does. It makes
Mm.
like the people, you know this, do you know what I mean? When you're tying flies, there's nearly, you can pinpoint the things that people are struggling with. Nobody's
Yeah.
struggling with putting on a dubbing. People struggle with it for about 15 minutes for the first three flies when they put it too much on it. And then they listen to the video and say, somebody says, less is more, the half of what they put on, and all of the sudden is done. But these, say, let's call it more technical things. The wings, maybe, you know what I mean? The stuff that's require a little bit of technique, the deer hair or the elk hair, that all of the sudden you have to have a pull direct down so it wouldn't spin on you, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like you nearly can pinpoint the things that people are struggle with, at the start. But as you go along, the one comes out nice and you say, right, well, this one was not too bad, right? And if I try again now and I slow it down, maybe, oh wait, this one came out another little bit better. And all of a sudden you realize, right, turns out I don't have to tie 4 elk hair sedges in 7 minutes. I can tie one that I like myself in 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes turns into 12, and 12 turns into 10, and all of a sudden you say, oh, right, well, look, I've enough of those. I might go back and do something that I'm missing there. And you're at that again, and bit by bit by bit by bit.
And that actually lends to what you said earlier on. You said there, like, you only try three, let's say, green Peters in a
Mm.
month. There's every chance that the third wing will be, as if you're not doing the wing right,
Yeah, yeah,
as bad as the first one. Whereas if you tie 200 of them, at some stage you are going to get that wing right. Right.
yeah,
I'm not saying you
yeah,
have
yeah.
to go as far as, and you don't have to go as far as 200. But
Oh yeah, no, I'm just exaggerating, obviously.
yeah,
If you tying, like, do you know what I mean? If I'm tying for myself here, if I'm sitting down, right, and I have half a dozen of size 10s, half a dozen of size 12s, that's plenty. Now,
mm,
there's a days when the bleeding legs actually make difference, right? So I do another half a dozen, but legged ones. So at this point, I've actually have done a dozen wings, or a dozen and a half,
yeah.
10s, 12s, and now I'm doing the same wing, but I'm adding a leg. So I'm in 18 wings straight away here, you know what I mean? And at some point, that wing comes good and it
Yes.
comes better again.
Yeah.
And
I can see why people ring you up and want to jump on a call with you, because you're a natural teacher in terms of describing
Mm.
it, like in terms of being able to the process behind it. It's very, very helpful. I think people listen to this very helpful. Like.
when I started, right, and I was annoying people. I know I was. People just won't admit to it. I was annoying people. And before I actually got into it properly, and I got kind of I took better, and I start maybe to do it more professional and all. I'll tell you, you need somebody to believe in you,
Mm.
right? You do. Jimmy Terrell. There's the one man that always, I don't know why, don't ask me why, since day one, Jimmy believed in me. And I remember this as I met Jimmy at one, I think it was still a Galway fly affair. It wasn't even moved anywhere. It was one of the last ones in Galway. And we were chatting, just chatting. Like, Jimmy said to me, he says, don't be rushing with it. Keep at it. Your time will come. You're going to sit down here. You're going to tie with a lot of them. You're going to tie better. Don't be rushing with it, Evo. Just keep at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice and
Be
steady.
patient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Be
Now,
patient.
look, do you know what I mean? That would be doing a lot, but yeah.
No, I think you're right. Well, I think it's, and even whether it's fly fishing, fly tying, you need some kind of mentor. It helps, doesn't it? Like that you
Oh,
can.
it does. It helps a great deal now. And I honestly, there's lads, and I can relate to all of this. There would be lads out there that at the time when they started bringing me out, hate the sight of me. They'd be out fishing, and I'd be out fishing, and the braided loop will go on me. Do you know? And I'd be out there, and I'd be not getting whole tangly and all this. And I go to that point when lads would put down the fly rod and come here, you, do you know, and put the braided loop on. Now, 1 2 minute job when somebody puts the braided loop for you and gives you daggers, you know, visually all those 2 minutes because maybe the fish are rising
Yeah.
or he thinks we're drifting over the right spot and he's missing that right because he has to put a. But you need that. You have to have somebody to show you a bit of ropes. You
Yeah.
have to because
Or else your learning time is a lot longer.
oh,
I
it
think
is,
that's,
yeah,
you know,
oh, it is.
Yeah.
You
and a
you
lot more
will
difficult.
you'll come to that.
Mm.
You'll come to that. Do you know what I mean? But there's also a chance that you won't. You eventually you get there, but there's a strong chance now. At the same time, there's a strong chance that you won't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So you can fall by
100%.
the
No,
wayside. Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
enough. It's
Yeah.
not working for me. I don't want it. No, enough. Not. Do you know what I mean? When you're trying to do something that maybe should be enjoyable, but it only is a nuisance to you, and you're trying and trying and trying and trying, and then like it's not your day job, that you can actually just turn around and quit. People said, you know what? No,
Yeah,
no,
why bother?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's the people who keep at it. That's what it is. It's
yeah,
the people who
yeah.
keep. But you have to
It
want
is,
to
yeah.
keep at it as well, you know. And again,
Oh
this is
yeah.
for anything in life, you know. If the passion has to be there in the first place, no matter what. Like, Evo, tell us of all the shows you kind of been to all around. Any particular favorite shows that you like going to?
It's three that I go. I go to Spring one. I go to Irish Fly Fair, and I go to British Fly Fair. Now British Fly Fair, I go on the trade stand because the guys from Italy, the copter guys, they kind of took me under the wing there a few years ago, and I'd go there with the man that owns the company, and I'm kind of on the trade stand there. Uh, I don't know how to best put it. I suppose entertainment officer. Yeah. uh, no,
But
that would be the three, the main ones I go to.
but they're very good, aren't they? In terms of, I know from talking to people, in terms of kind of just attending and just if you're looking to learn more, you know, from watching fly tyers like yourselves, it's just being able to pick up little tips and bits of advice, isn't it?
I say the shows are priceless.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually think, and I'll tell you what, I'll give you exact. That this is my experience, right? This is again, we're going back to Galway. This is again is historical. This is when I started this and I started that. All of the sudden, this the very same story. I have this first double hander. Back in college, working bar, Saturday, no money, eBay job, buy this double hander, 14 foot, don't have a clue what I'm buying. Eventually, I buy this double hander. So I lump this double hander with me in my, like it comes in big plastic Cadura tube on top of the lot into the Yaris at the time. I lump it all the way to Galway, rock down, and there's, there's Ian Gordon, right? Now, anyone else that would be in a game said, Jesus Christ, you don't bother going up to Ian Gordon and bothering him with this trivial stuff. No, yours truly, right? Rock up, take out this piece of crap double hand, trailer, put it all out, put it all together, go over to issue the man with it and say, this is what I have, help me.
Make me an expert.
Do you know what I mean? And he looks at me and I said, this is what I bought. I don't have money to buy good stuff. It's my first one. Help me a bit. He
Fair play.
looks at me, turns around, pretty much just collapses it so he can bring it inside. She tries it a bit, you know what I mean? We go over. At the time, Pat Nolan was still in Galway. He walks over to Pat Nolan's, the discounted lines. Pat used to have this discounted kind of line that would be out of fashion lines, if you know what I mean. So he goes through the whole box in his own good time, right? When he should be maybe helping real people who are in the salmon fish. And he picks out this line and he says, here, he says, this one will do you start. And this will match this rod. He shows me back with my double hander with my line pretty much paid the lady at the window, job. So I go over, I fix up fast right. So now I have line. Now it's I'm looking else around. There's somebody there who seems to a little bit knowledgeable about reels, right? So there I am rocking up to this person. I said, this is the line. This is the rod. Help me. But this is literally what happened. I'm not exaggerating. This is exactly how it happened, right? And when you're in the game and you're, Jesus, man, going over bothering Ian Gordon, oh no, where are you? Great. No.
You didn't know any better.
No, I know, but if you don't ask, do you know what I mean? You can stand there and now go anywhere I go to any shows. I can stand there looking at Mackenzie and looking at Glenda and double howling and de-looping and what have you. And it's all nice and pretty. Unless you pick it up, unless you try it, and somebody is beside you and you say, look, this is here and it's not flying for me. Can you just stand behind me and just show me where am I going wrong? Somebody will stand beside you, behind you, and help you out. And you get the first one out. You're going to mess up the second one. You're going to get the third one out. Eventually, you're going to get first, second, third, fourth, and fifth right. And there you go. And I think that way the shows are brilliant because there's a fly dressers there that you can actually go up and say, this is what I'm struggling. That wing is what I'm struggling. I'm doing it this way. Can you show me how you do it? And then rather than video, you can actually see how a person does it. You can go up and you can pick up the rod and you say, right, I'm looking at this rod online, right? And this is about my price range and this is what I want. And you pick it up, you put on the reel of it and you try it 3 times, you put it down and said, never again. It doesn't suit me. I don't like it. But if you're looking at it online, you can't do it. And I think that the price that you're paying into a show, whatever it is, 10, 15 euros, I think it's worth every penny of that. That's the trade-off. And Tom, you know, there's if any time there's any amount of the people there that you can just ask, and everyone will help you out. Everyone will take a moment out of the show and help you out.
Yeah, I think it's really true, and it only just drives home the importance of shows and fairs, and and look, it's why they're still popular. People still go. People will still go to them. But I think you've just hit the nail on the head with them there, Evo. It's because you can actually have face-to-face time with somebody, and you can ask them. And to be honest, yeah, I don't. I've never heard of an instant at a show where somebody's asked a question of somebody who's been there, where they've been said, "Oh, I can't help you out."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it never happens.
It doesn't, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, people always, if somebody's walking by, right? I've seen this. Somebody would walk by and they say, oh, hi, can you just, I was looking at that, and person would be on a mission literally to drop off something. They said, could you spare me 1 minute? And he'd go over, he drops off the thing that he has to, and he'd come back and he will still address what you want. Because I think it's one of those that's what makes the fairs and shows and everything, that you can actually stop by, you can chat, you can pick up the rod, you can pick up this rod, that rod, you can there's 3, 4, 5 lads selling the rods, right? I know that there would be overlapping ones, but then there wouldn't be ones that overlap. There would be lads that the lifeboat guys that will look after your life jacket, and like there's something. And if you're talking one in Kilkenny, that's done on the ponds.
Yeah.
And there's a kids pond there, Tom. You were at it there, and
Yeah,
and
it's fantastic.
I remember I was there, and it was coming to the end of the day, and things were kind of quieting down, and I came out front of the tent, and I was just looking at the entrance kind of into the front of the marquee into a tent where we were, the fly tyers. It's kind of right when you come back from the pond, you kind of right facing. There's this family coming, right, and there was a mum and dad, and they had two little kids with them. Now, I don't know, maybe 5 and 6, call it that way. But two of them, there was no interest in the world to them. They were comparing the size of the fish. They were comparing the numbers. They were comparing, and mother and father stopped and called them for Coke or something. And no, the world was gone to them. It was about the fish, and it was, and you're looking at that, and then you say, right, this is why we gather here. This is the reason there. It's not me meeting Tom, or like we've met 100 times, but you know what I mean. This is the reason why we gather there. Like,
Yeah,
dead
no,
right.
that's that. They really are. They really are fantastic. Evo, geez, we can keep talking forever. There's plenty more. I've been really interested in hearing your takes on the fly tying. Some really interesting stuff there, and really good. But listen, before we go, everybody we have on the show, we ask them a question. So I'm going to ask you now, Evo, what has been your most memorable fish on the fly?
two. One was in 2017. Now you can't say it out loud, right? I have this secret passion. When I go around, I'm kind of traditionalist, and I've been fishing more traditional flies, but this secret kind of passion, I go out and I fish streamers in autumn, right?
Your secret safe here, Evo. Nobody's going to
Secret
hear
is
that.
safe, yeah. I chuck streamers, right? And I caught this trout, and it was on the Inni, and it's not the biggest river, but what made it was the river was an absolute muck. There was rain for the week. The river was color of coffee, and the pool is between two sets of rapids, and if it's maybe a 30 feet of the length, 30 yard of the length, and I cast it over the pool and pulled back the streamer, and this fish came out twice, and both times he missed it, and it was huge. And I kind of stood back, and I went back, and I got him eventually on the third cast or fourth cast. He came and he took a streamer. It was a fish about 7,8 pound on a wild fish,
Yeah.
coming in for the ree. Now, it was absolutely, it was a picture perfect trout, and the way what happened, the way that I caught him in an absolute crap conditions, and I had to have 2 attempts and a go. I think that's one of the most memorable ones now, trout wise. And then obviously when you catch your first salmon, you never forget that, and that happened to me now on. But I caught one, I hooked one before, but I didn't land him. But I landed the first one on a ridge pole there, and salmon fishing was something else. It was like I don't know, don't talk to me about it. But eventually, I was standing in a ridge pole, and I was doing this and I was doing that, and when you lose you lose kind of confidence in yourself, and you start questioning everything. And then I just kind of stood back and calmed down myself, and just chucked the fly into the biggest water. And as it was coming out from the faster water into the slack, bang. Now they're the 2 fish that I will never forget. That big trout there and the first salmon. Yeah.
Can I just ask, was the salmon on the fly line that Ian Gordon recommended?
Well balanced setup.
I still have it. I still have the line now, because I fish for salmon mostly on downtime from the trout. Do you know what I mean? When the grills would be, and I have now of lately a number of years I'd be traveling up to Carramore to fish that, but yeah, for all my salmon fishing now, that that setup now. I still haven't actually all set up. I could. Whenever this comes out, I will post the pictures to prove it. I do. I still have this. I think it's one of those. Not really. What's the guy that did all the TV shows that he still does some sort of not rod race really, but yeah, one of those. I still kind of one of those guys. You know when they brought out their own lines of fishing, and I have. Of one of those. It must be at this stage. It must be 30 years old now. I actually still have it. I will post a picture of it. I promise.
Well, Evo, it's been brilliant chatting to you. Actually, so if people want to see more of your flies, where should they go? Online? Where are you on social?
I'd be on Facebook, and I'd be on Instagram as well. But yeah, I'd be posting more on the pages. You know what I mean? Irish lake flies, Irish fly fair, and more that more relevant pages, if you know what I mean. Like I'd be on a few
pages,
on the groups, and obviously Instagram's just Instagram. You just look me up.
Instagram.com/Evo Smyth. Some incredible, beautiful pictures as well that are up there as well. And on Facebook, I can see your Facebook.com/Evo Smyth fly fishing as well. So if people want to have a look as well, and they might see you at one of the fairs coming up lately.
Yeah, I'll be in the May. I'll be in Monacoin in May. Yeah, at the spring fair. I'm coming back again. I was invited back there, thank God. And so they're not sick and tired of me yet, you know.
Well, if anybody's looking for advice, they know where to come and ask. And you're a great man for teaching and giving the advice. So Evo, well done, and thanks again for your time.
Guys, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Our thanks to Evo for joining us on the show. And don't forget to rate, review and follow the Ireland on the Fly podcast on Apple, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Plus you can keep up to date on IrelandOnTheFly.com as well as on Instagram, and myself and Tom will be back with another episode about the people and places of fly fishing in Ireland.